Hey everyone, Genome here, coming to you with my next Marvel Strike Force video. This one's once again aimed a little more at the newer player and maybe the one just freshly entering the mid-game, but also definitely leans heavily towards the free-to-play player. So today's character I want to talk about has been recently announced to be moving to a permanent event, and that is Nick Fury. Nick Fury was basically the first legendary in this game worthy of the title, and Nick Fury with the Shield Minion team used to be the bane of the existence of every free-to-play player out there when he was first released, because they were unbeatable, basically unbeatable. And I would never queue into like an arena team that was Nick Fury back in the day. It just wasn't worth your time. And with the inclusion of Coulson, who we'll not be really talking about today, they became a war defense team, basically the first one. They were first of a lot of things, right? They were basically the first team worthy of a team tag, and yeah, they were dreaded on war defense for quite a while. But let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Fury, just a little bit today, and whether I think he is worth going forward for, let's just go ahead and say the newer player. Okay, so what Scopely has released is that he's going to be a recurring event, much like Iron Man. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real fast. Probably should have that queued up first, right? But, so Iron Man is always available. All you gotta do is unlock the characters to get him, so he's no longer on the legendary cadence, right? Now, what we haven't heard for sure, I seem to remember reading this somewhere or hearing it somewhere, that he's going to be a 3-star unlock as well, just like Iron Man turned into. I can't confirm or deny that, so if you know in the comments below, or I could post a link below where it was. I was looking through the blog post, I didn't actually see it, but I seem to remember that somewhere. So we're going to assume he's a 3-star unlock, but I can't tell you for sure. So he's going to be down here in the events area permanently. So yeah, Nick. Okay, they made him permanent, which is a good thing. I think it's a very good thing. But he still has the same unlock requirements, which is an awful thing, and why I do not recommend him for the newer player, at least until now.
That's what I was going to say.
So let me go ahead and get into what it takes to unlock him, and then I'm going to tell you whether I think he is worth going for or not. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the way to unlock Nick Fury is relatively straightforward, even though it makes zero sense whatsoever, and that is to unlock him with Cree minions. Yes, not just any old Cree minions. So you can't even collect the good Crees, like Minerva and Ronan. Ronan's good because he helps unlock Phoenix as well. Not even Korath. It's gotta be Cree minions. And ladies and gentlemen, Cree minions suck.
Tell me the truth!
They suck royally. They might have been somewhat decent at the launch of this game, but it was long ago and far away, and yeah, they're painful. I'm going to preface this whole video, this whole section here, saying if Nick is a 3 unstar lock like Iron Man became, that definitely weights things much more heavily onto unlocking him. If it's still a 5-star, I don't know. I'll get into that more at the end, but I'm just going to warn you now. I'm going to lean a lot of this review on him being released as 3-star. So let's just talk really quickly about how you unlock each of these guys, or not so much unlock them, well, unlock in some cases, but you know, you gather the shards. So Cree Noble, first off. Cree Noble is available in Cosmic 1/6. That's a little ways off for the newer player, say, I don't know, probably 2 months into the game, maybe a little less, right? The Cosmic nodes are not that hard, but just gathering the characters can be a little bit difficult. This can be made infinitely easier with unlocks of a few powerful characters which are around now. Cosmic is much easier nodes than they used to be. So that's where she is. Cree Oracle. Cree Oracle is going to be the worst one for you here. He's available only in the raid store and of course in random orb openings like premium orbs and all that. So yeah, there's no easy farm to this guy, and there's a lot of valuable, at least in the early game, characters you need to be going for in the raid store. Most importantly, of course, is Thor. But he is available in the raid store. He pops up every now and then, and of course if you can farm him out of raid orbs as well. You just can't control it. So he is the one for sure that you're going to be most worried about for a 3-star unlock, is Cree Oracle. So it sucks that such a bad character is only available in the raid store, but it is what it is. Next we got Cree Reaper. Cree Reaper is eminently farmable right now. He's actually in 2 nodes. He's in Heroes 5/6 and Cosmic 2/6. Cosmic 2/6, I get the feeling though is going to be just a placeholder node, so don't like depend on this to last around forever. I get the feeling they're going to put some newer character in there. Who knows who it's going to be? But yeah, I wouldn't say this guy's going to be staying, or this girl, excuse me, is going to be staying with 2 nodes for too long. So easily farmable, and Heroes 5/6 is, I'd say, probably about a month in the game. You can probably beat that, maybe even a little sooner, depending on what characters you've unlocked, either through miles or mega orbs, or just through your random gathering. So not too hard to farm at all. Cree Royal Guard, easiest farm of all of these actually, is Blitz Store character. Easy as can be. The only problem with Blitz Store is you might be spending those tokens on things like Electro and Rhino. 2 very important farms for the newer player, as I always say, for unlocking Shuri and Invisible Woman. You might as well get Sinister 6 for both of them, because that team unlocks both of them. So easiest farm there is of this entire group. And finally, we have Cree Cyborg. Cree Cyborg actually does okay damage on this team. Cree Reaper really does the lion's share of it, but Cree Cyborg is not too hard to farm, but it's a little bit further down the road at Nexus 3/6, so yeah, it's probably about 2 months into the game, maybe a little bit further than that, once again depending somewhat on your luck with Mega Orbs, really. So that's where they are. So none of these guys are particularly difficult to farm outside of Cree Oracle, and you're gonna have to gear them appropriately for the mission. So like the gearing you see right now is just enough to get me through the 5-star unlock of Nick Fury. So you probably have to have all these guys at least around 10k or so in order to do 3. But the key to those unlocks is to do the bare minimum with characters like this, right? So start them off at like 6k and see if you can get the unlock there. Just do basically, long story short, just gear them and tier them to the minimum that it takes to unlock these events. And if you're going to be stopping at 3 stars, well, it is what it is, because this is not the team you need to be gearing for Nick Fury. The only good part about having these guys higher, of course, is getting Nick Fury at a higher star level. The importance of that now is kind of, I don't know, not so much moot, but it's not what it once was. So anyway, long story short, aim for the 3-star unlock, but you might have to get them at 5. We'll see. So let's go ahead and get on to the SHIELD team itself, and then we can talk a little bit about them. Alright, as you can see, SHIELD is pretty stacked, actually, with characters that you can use. I mean, you got, 12 of them here? But I'm not going to focus on all that, because some of these characters have homes, much better suited for them elsewhere. Wave 1 Avengers for Captain America. Coulson's a war defense thing, but you only really use him in PvE content. Yo-Yo, of course, she's a great swing character anywhere, but, she usually has her home, at least in war or in other modes in the Eternals and all that. So... or excuse me, Inhumans, Internals. Hawkeye, same thing. Black Widow, same thing. Wave 1 Avengers. So let's go ahead and get into the team that fits Nick Fury best, and that's actually SHIELD minions. So here we go. Okay, so Nick Fury's passive and all works definitely better with minions, and a lot of the minions the same way. Their passive works very well with other minions and or at least having Nick on the team. So I'm going to go through it real quick, the 5 ones that you're going to need for Nick Fury minion team, or at least the 4 other minions you should probably be using, and along with their unlock requirements or places that they can be found. Actually, the hardest one of all of these is probably going to be maybe the most important one. That's SHIELD Security. SHIELD Security is an arena store farm, and as you might have seen in my arena store vid for newer players, it's pretty stacked, actually, in the arena store. It's not as bad as the war store, but it's pretty bad, and resources are limited, so you really got to figure out if you want to go for Nick, because it's going to be one of the big bottlenecks here. So yeah, SHIELD Security is available in the arena store, so not a terribly hard farm, but still, I mean, it's going to take like 100 shards to get him to the 3-star level if you want him equal to everybody else, and this is actually one of the characters you want at higher stars, because he's going to be your meat shield, right? So he's actually a really good tank, though. He has the mechanic of taunting when other characters on the team, doesn't necessarily have to be shield, go below, basically into yellow status. So basically when their health gets below 50%, his taunt goes off automatically. He's one of the most annoying taunts in the game, especially if you can heal people back up, because he'll just be taunting constantly, and he definitely changes how you fight against him. But so SHIELD Security is in the arena store. He's one of the 3 main minions that you should be using on SHIELD with Nick Fury teams. Next is going to be Shield Medic. Shield Medic is found in Villains 1/6. Super easy farm, no big deal, but don't run this team without her. You need those heals. A lot of the key to Shield Nick Fury minion teams is the constantly dropping and then raising of health bars, and you need some dedicated heals. So there she is. She also worked extremely well with Coulson, so if you do have Coulson, you can use them in PvE content because it makes him almost immortal, because every time she throws her special out there, she's gonna res him. But it's more applicable in War. So remember this, if you're a newer player in War, don't try to Zerg down Coulson first, because she'll just res him again. So you either want to, usually Zerg down, if you can, not usually Fury, but either the security and or medic. Medic is the #1 priority to get rid of in War. So there it is. So pretty easy farm there for Shield Medic. And finally, Shield Assault. Shield Assault gets by just as virtue of this amazing amount of damage, extra damage you can pull with crit on Shield, basically minion teams, but Shield teams in general. She's going to be doing, or he's going to be doing the vast amount of your damage. It's hard to tell it's a little ambiguous what he or she is. But yeah, they're going to be doing basically the vast amount of your damage. They strips, buffs, and all that. It's very valuable. So this is one of the few cases where this character is anywhere even remotely good. Some of these characters can actually be pulled off his shield, and especially Shield Trooper can actually be pretty decent. That's just a filler character on some teams, but so yeah, Shield Assault is really good on a Shield Nick Fury minion team. So that's the triad of characters, right, you're going to have. And I'm going to say the 5th slot is a swing slot. Of course, the 1st slot is with Nick Fury. So I think it should be Nick Fury, Shield Security, Shield Assault, and Shield Medic. So the last two characters, Shield Trooper and Shield Operative, are kind of to taste. And I'm going to hazard to say that Shield Operative is actually a better choice for PvE content. It makes your team almost immortal. I mean, it's so hard to kill your team with her on there. She stealths herself, and then she winds up stealthing other people, throwing regens on them. Between that and Shield Medic, there's going to be a lot of healing getting thrown around. A lot of manipulating of turn bar, too, with Nick Fury on the team. So I think it's going to be her. It's going to slow down your damage output, because she doesn't do any damage, of course. But her cooldowns are especially low. And things like Dark Dimension 2, when there's no timer or anything like that, I think it's going to be much better. You're going to be much better suited this way. One of the tricks to Shield Trooper is to stick him, like you'll put Shield Security over on the edge, and then you'll put Shield Trooper behind him. So like adjacent attacks will hit 2 characters at most. But I mean, as much as Shield Security is going to be taunting, you're going to be getting a lot of counterattack damage with Shield Trooper because of his passive. But I've said this in a previous video before, that he is a serious trap character for newer players. He looks good, the passive looks amazing, but he doesn't really bring anything else important to your team. And the damage, it's not as big as you think it is. I mean, it is appreciable, but like in Dark Dimension 2, the damage is going to be negligible. It's much more important to keep your important characters alive, so that's why I would usually recommend Shield Operative. So all that being said, I'm going to say that you should probably go Shield Operative, but a lot of people will probably contest this and say Shield Trooper. Your results may vary. I guess it depends you have more red stars on, to be honest with you. So Shield Operative is an easy farm. She's in Heroes 4-3, and Shield Trooper is also an easy farm. He's in Villains 4-3. It's like the yin and yang there. So yeah, just to taste. Which one do you prefer? But that's going to be the basis of your Nick Fury Shield Minions team, right? So let's go ahead and get to the final opinion, whether I think you should be going for Nick Fury or not. All right, folks, here it is. Where the rubber meets the road. Do I think Nick Fury is worth going for or not, especially for the newer or newly minted mid-game player? This is so difficult. I would wholeheartedly say, even at 5-star unlocks, that new players should be going for Shield, right? Because you can do so much. There are very few teams in the early game, even late early game, that are better at PvE content than Shield. With Nick Fury on the team. Has to have Nick Fury, or it doesn't work, right? Very few, if any. Honestly, this team has amazing sustain, right up there with aim, right? With the amount of heals can get thrown around, and self-buffing. Basically, your fights are going to last a while, but it's very few teams that can actually kill a fully functional Shield team in the early and late early game, maybe even lower mid game, right? Exceptional value. I really wish that I could actually wholeheartedly suggest this team for newer players, but I just can't. because of the ridiculous unlock requirements of Cree minions. Now, this is compounded by the fact that you actually have to gear them up decently, because back then they used to kind of tune these fights to be a little bit more difficult. It started getting easier around Magneto and stuff, but these earlier ones were a little bit rough, and so you can't just kind of usually slide by, because once again the Cree minions are so weak that you can't just like take a more powerful character like say Minerva or something in there and really steamroll it. Nope, you got to do it with these minions, so you kind of got to gear 2 teams up to make it work.
That's just about the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Now, I'll say this. If it's at a 3-star unlock, why not go for it? You're not hurting too much progress. You have to worry a little bit about Thor. So, using your raid currency, raid store currency on Oracle can be a little bit painful. At the same token, though, Thor doesn't show up that often. So, it gives you 2 things to aim for. You should, first off, make sure you're in an alliance at raids. You need to be in an alliance at regular raids. It's probably the most important thing for the newer player. It's what screwed me up the most when I first started playing this game, because I wasn't. I was just in one of the new player, ones that it sticks you in automatically, and we were raiding like once every 3 or 4 days. You need to be raiding daily for multiple reasons. I won't go in here, but that's the most important thing. So you should have enough raid currency to go for board, especially at 3 stars. So that's not a huge thing. And some people do advocate opening of raid orbs. I am more of the targeted farm kind of mentality myself until you get everything you want, and then you can do what you want. But so there is that to consider, and also arena store for once you finally get into the raid or to the shield minions. Yeah, you got to spend arena store credits, and a lot of them. Basically, 20 times you got to pick shield security if you want everyone on equal footing. Once again, he's one of the more important ones actually to have good stats on, because he's got to eat a lot of damage. Oh man, this is so difficult. Even at 3 stars, this is so difficult, because I think he is the best legendary of the first original 3 for the newer player. I think that's pretty easily. Star-Lord's amazing in DD2, but the Guardians themselves suck. Shield wipes the floor with the Guardians. Let me tell you that right now. As far as usability for the newer player and early game and early mid game, Shield will just wipe the floor with anything that the Guardians can do outside specified nodes like Cosmic and all that, right? So they will actually take you far in DD2. You can almost put these guys on auto in DD2 if you get them geared enough. But once again, I don't advocate giving enough gear for these guys to get through DD2. There's much better options nowadays, and so many more powerful characters have been released since then that are a little more readily available for that. So, man, this is so tough. I'd say if you have the stuff laying around, that it's not a bad farm. But I'll say this, it's very hard to incidentally farm the Cree minions, right? Because you have to actively go for them. You just don't collect them. On my free-to-play account, I have not incidentally opened or unlocked any of the Cree, even at 1-star minions. So it's like, you have to commit so much to it. I just don't think it's worth it. I think Nick Fury should be one of those characters that you just get, I hate to say the word instantly getting across the game. I don't really recommend going for him. If you love the characters, if you like the idea of an autoplay team, and if you like the idea of a team that can steamroll raids at level and can go into things like Dark Dimension 1 and 2, I wholeheartedly say go for them. But you're going to probably hurt your progress. You're going to hurt your late, or your middle game progression. You're going to hurt definitely your late game progression if you put a bunch of gear and time into these guys, because you're not going to use them. Now, I'll say this. Nick does have some other uses. I like to use him in Avenger nodes, like when you get to like the Doom campaign nodes and some of like the 7.1 and above nodes, where maybe you might have a specific thing that says only Shield or only Avengers. Nick is great there. He is not a bad plug-and-play character on some Avengers team for those kind of events, right? And he might have some use later on in DD4 if you need to get a legend, but that's so far down the pipe, you don't need to worry about that. So he does have some use as a team, but none of the other Shield characters are really going to have a use. People have tried with like Shield Medic and Shield Trooper, and it just has never worked out. They're just not good enough without Nick on the team, or at least a full Shield team around them to make them function. And you got to put so much resources into it, even at 3 stars, that I just can't recommend it. But if you want, if you like the character Nick Fury, if you like the idea of the Shield, team, hey, go for it. If it's at 3 stars. At 5 stars, I definitely say avoid him at all costs. It's just too costly on the Cree minion side to lose that much time progression that you could be dumping into more valuable characters. So this turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it was, but I really wanted to kind of get down into it, whether I think Nick Fury is worth it now that he's going to be a permanent event. I still don't think he is, but it's really close at 3 stars. It's right on the cusp. If they would just fix the problem. In fact, if he was stayed at 5 stars, I've been fine with that. If they would just taken that stupid Cree minion prerequisite out of it. But as it stands, you got a level 2 teams to unlock one legendary who is no longer relevant, and it's just not worth it. Great early game team, but he falls off like a stone once the mid game hits you, and yeah, I just can't advocate for him. So hopefully this helped you out somewhat. I didn't mean to turn this into a Nick Fury bash session. I think he's still good. The Shield team, unfortunately, by the time I got Shield team unlocked and rolling, the game has already passed them. This game has passed Shield by. So I just want to warn you. Don't fall in the trap just because he's permanent that you think you have to go for him right away. Collect him slowly over time. If you unlock him, great. But if not, you're not going to be missing out on too much. So anyway, all that being said, please go out there and enjoy the game and unlock who you want to unlock. And I hope this helped some players that were kind of on the fence whether they want to get him or not. Also, I want to say one thing too. Be careful of like watching content creators who have made older videos. If you go watch like a video from like 2018, yes, they're probably still singing the praises of a Nick Fury team. So be mindful of when the video was released. Those videos probably no longer apply. You know, the game has progressed a lot since then. So that's just the other warning there. Not trying to poo-poo on any other content creators. Just be mindful of when the video came out, right? So yeah, let me know in the comments below if this helped you out. And until next time, this is Genome. Oh, just hanging his head at shame at the stupid Cree minion unlock requirements for Nick Fury.